Oh, hey, friends. What's going on, everybody? How are we doing today on this fantastic Tuesday, January 17th? Hope you guys are doing great. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. What do we have going on today? Let's open up our report and see what the dealio is. Yeah, we'll get back to that screen. Let's start with our weekly view. Ho ho. So, fun developments. Probably more so fun developments for me, as I was not trading on Friday, so I didn't get to see how everything played out. But would you look at this? Last week's high closed up at the very top of our EMA cloud, just below our trend line. And of course, with the overnight activity we're seeing, we're opening up pretty much right around that same area. So yeah, we potentially have a test of our trend line coming up. That could be super duper fun for those of you playing the home game. Obviously, potential reversal point. Obviously, also potential basing point for us to finally break out of this downtrend that started last year. So, lots of exciting things on the horizon. Now, as far as if we were going to look at what did I just do? What the heck? Oh, let's turn that off so that way we don't accidentally do that again. Okay. Yeah. So if we're looking at this from like a probability standpoint, right? Price is only going to hit off of a resistance so many times before it finally breaks through. And we've had several tests of our trend line. In fact, we're gonna look at this even a little bit further back. So we started here, right? We peaked just as we were getting into 2021, and then we can see that we've been on this expanding downtrend for most of 2021. It wasn't until we got to the end of the year where we could see that finally our lows weren't quite making the same swing out pattern as before. So this was our first, for lack of a better term, oh my gosh, I'm struggling to think of the word that I want to use right now. A shortening of the thrust. There we go. I knew it was going to be in there somewhere. But yeah, so we saw a shortening of the thrust, first one there. And it seems like the market agreed that that was just too low. So we had our up point, and this is where we first broke through the trend line that we had established. Obviously, we can see that that did not hold. It did come back down, but it was unable to retrace below the 50% of the last swing. So now, as we're coming back up into this, there's a lot of probability telling us that there's a good chance we could finally break out of this trend. What that means from there, well, that's anybody's guess. I mean, we could go back up to all-time highs. We could, continue to do some sideways trading in that area. It could even eventually fail and find ourselves hitting some kind of capitulation. But yeah, so where we're at right now, some exciting times ahead. This week has the potential to be explosive, and we'll see. We've only got a minute left, so let's kind of zoom through this a little bit. Again, our daily's just kind of showing us the same thing, right? We are in the top half of this volume spike, which is also coinciding with our trend line down. So 400 is going to be the price level to watch for today. And obviously holding above that, making it beyond the 400. And if we're able to break away from this resistance and our value high here, well, that's just going to spell even better news. Obviously, bulls need to hold price there if we run into some advantageous sellers, or if some of the bulls that have been participating decide to become bears. It can change the tone of everything that we've been seeing. But yeah, so in short, exciting things ahead. Let's get back to our stream view. We got about 45 seconds, so I'm going to go ahead and shift my screen over so I can look at what's going on. and see what we got going on in our Discord channel. Hello, good morning. Saying hi to all of y'all hanging out with me live today. How we doing? Hope you guys are doing well. Talking to you, Bob. Oh, look at that. Our overnight highs popped up again. Let's mark that off before it has a change of heart. Fantastic. Fan-freaking-tastic. All right. There's our bell. Just some other things that I wrote in the report this morning, but I didn't mention as we were coming in. The overnight activity was looking pretty bullish. I mean, obviously, we're hanging out by the close from our previous day. Close up near the high there, very bullish. So that tells us that the action wasn't quite done yet. We'll see if it wraps up this morning or if it doesn't. So for this to continue, we really do want to see us break the overnight high. That's going to put us much closer towards checking our downward trend line. And of course, a new high in succession, especially one that comes pretty quick in the day, that's going to tell us buyers are still holding the power. You know, sellers have kind of disappeared a little bit for the last 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row. Yeah, Moon, when Lambo. I don't know, man. If I hit it big, I don't think I'd buy a Lambo. So many better things I could spend my money on. But I'm not going to yuck the yum of anybody who, dreams of owning a Lambo. Like, by God, if that's your dream, go for it. All right. So far, we've got a battle at the overnight high. That previous day high looks like it's going to be taken out. We're going to turn extended hours off on our main chart. Obviously, it's already turned off for you guys. Just so that way we've got a better looking picture of our moving averages. So if activity is still heading to the upside, we're going to be looking for a low probably around 398, close to that mark. Oh, geez. Wow, really? That's like close. That's really close. So where I'm getting that from, I'm looking at our 30-minute chart, our longer term 30-minute chart, and I'm looking at the 8 and the 21 moving average. So we've got a positive EMA cloud that's been building, and as long as we don't cross back through it, that kind of tells us that long is a decent position to get into. But when trying to identify where a good pullback point would be to try to get into your position, you can use the moving average as a little bit of a entry point line. So if we touch 398 and it doesn't look like we're going below it, that's going to be a great spot for you to hop in long. If we do go through it, we have the longer term moving average under that, the 21, which is a little bit closer to 397. So that would be another potentially good spot to enter. And below that, we would probably hold off on entering long and just wait to see kind of what's going on. Now, if we were looking at the shorter term, so this is our 5-minute chart where we use a 13 and 48 and Heikin Ashi candles to help smooth out momentum and curves, we would be looking for something similar to what we were just talking about. Apparently, a 398 is a good entry point location according to that chart as well. And let's see if we're going to look at our 15-minute where we have our short long set up. Looks like our long is above overnight high and our short is way down at 392. And our stop point is right around 395.4. I actually forgot to mark off those levels in my main chart. We're going to go ahead and do that. Meow. Oh, wait, that's the 30-minute. Hold on. Let's change that. I prefer looking at the 15. It's about the same area. So nothing wrong with that. Oh, nope, I lied. The overnight activity changed that. So for just today on our 15, we're looking at longs above 398. Man, everything is just pointing at that 398. That's going to be a pretty good spot for us to attempt to enter. Yeah, keep your eye on it. Don't just necessarily buy the 398 because we touch it, but look at the other subtext and clues that are going on. Oh, where's our stop? Dragging lines around. Actually, you should be able to see these on the chart. Well, yeah, on the profile chart, you should be able to see them when I set them. That pop up for you? Yep, it sure did. Look at that. So that's our stop point. So we don't want to be looking for longs below that. If we get down to the overnight low, we're going to be a little bit cautious about trying to jump into a long position. Geez, this is what happens when I skip a day. My lines are all over the place. What? Oh, geez, that stop's in the wrong spot. Man, what is going on with me today? There we go. That's where our stop's supposed to be. That's where our short's supposed to be. Okay, good. And now last but most certainly not least, because apparently we didn't mark it off, our previous day POC. Okay, all your lines should be caught up now on the chart. Hooray! So far we have had some pushback. We've got some shorter peaks. We do have a lower low below the opening price. So getting in long, potentially a little risky, but if you're trying to catch the falling knife, we're pretty close to where a good spot for that would be. My personal take on that, I don't like catching falling knives. I used to try and time the early reversals, but no reason to. We'll wait for some confirmation. A cross back through the opening price. That's a good spot for us to enter. Ooh, a pimped out F-150. Nice. Actually, I've had my eye on the Lightnings that Ford's supposedly releasing at some point in the later years because we're well past the release. My father-in-law was going to be getting one of the new electric trucks from Ford, and he was supposed to get it at the beginning of 2022. Based on what I'm saying, I'm sure you can guess he still hasn't gotten it yet, and now it's a model 2023. So, yeah, but I mean, it's not just Ford, right? Everybody's kind of pushed back on their production lines and whatnot. People were getting in on the waiting lists and whatnot. Well, so far, we do seem to have some demand down with these wicks. This candle is definitely threatened to chew up that demand, though. It's trying. It's trying really hard. Oh, and also another fun thing that I realized today, I didn't upload any of the videos that I recorded last week from live trading. I mean, granted, there wasn't anything like super exciting in any of them. But I mean, there's still some good analysis, good education in them. So I'm gonna try and do a little video dump for you guys this afternoon, so that way you can get a hold of everything. All right. So we were saying, right, that the 398 looked like a good long entry, but now we've broken below this point. So we're going to hold off. We're not going to try jumping in long. We want to see what happens down here. I mean, you can still see that we've got a downtrend from the morning. We've broken away from the close. We've broken away from our opening price. This isn't saying that today's not going to be a good day to get long. I mean, we have kind of a weak high based on where we went up to today. We've only got 2 ticks on our previous day high. So that does seem like something that's going to be repaired in the future. But we also still don't know if today is going to try and balance under our trend line, right? We know that the long term trend line is right above us. We know that we're probably going to get a test soon, but that doesn't mean the test is going to be today. And if we balance, if we kind of pull back and we find ourselves kind of locked into where the previous POCs were, well, that's just still going to be setting us up for a test at a later date, right? So that's another reason why we want to be prepared with potential scenarios. So we were looking at 398 as being a good long entry. I mean, that would be the ideal long entry for this if the bullish activity was still absolutely on fire. But now that we've broken through it, now that we don't seem to be reversing off of it, that tells us that there are some more sellers entering the market today. Whether they're brand new sellers or they're bulls who have changed their position, that really isn't something that, we will be able to know for certain. Yeah, no, that's smart. Wait for the range to develop, especially after a couple days of movement has already occurred, right? We know the market goes in cycles. We have consolidation and we have movement. Well, the market already moved last week. So the odds of us continuing the move while they exist, they do start to diminish, a little bit each day that we've moved. So, you know, it can be very advantageous to recognize that the day after, 2 days after, 3 days after a move has occurred, you want to be waiting a little bit longer for that range to develop to know, or not to know is not the right word, but to have a better idea of where you're going to be positioning yourself for the day. It can also help you predict when balance ranges are starting to occur. So, for example, we did not break the previous day high on the opening drive. So, right there, that tells us, well, we've got our first little check mark in our balance day box. Then, of course, we have the push below the 398. All right, so there's definitely some sellers present today. There's another little check in what we could potentially find as a balance day. And now we're just going to wait for things to play out. We can still look to our opening price as a good place to enter long based on what we've seen for our morning activity. We did get the push below 398, but if this gets absolutely rejected at this point now, bulls push us back up through opening price, back above previous day close. Well, that's going to be some momentum going in their favor. And that means any pullbacks to the close are probably going to be a good entry point for us, especially because it's then going to break the initial trend that we're seeing. Nice. Awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, that's huge, right? The longer you just sit and watch the markets, the more time you spend watching it, a lot of this stuff starts to make more sense. It's math, it's psychology, and it's just playing odds. You know, almost nobody participating in this stream and or filming this stream is ever going to have enough money to actually influence the direction of price. So we just want to jump on the tails of the whales, man. I am paying attention here to where this low goes to, because we have already had a test of our VWAP and a push through our EMA cloud. So we could potentially be looking at a long entry at our 398 with a really close stop. Oh, wow. If you tell me that that pullback right there was the one we wanted and we just missed it, that happened quick. I suppose the good news is we were talking about it. I guess that did come within 5 cents of 398. So yeah, that candle probably was the one we may have wanted to grab our tight entry on. But I saw it a little too late, so it's okay. We'll try and identify where another good one will be based on what we're seeing here. We are getting some fight at the VWAP. Trend line obviously right up above. So we could still potentially look for the pullback to the 398. Otherwise, we're waiting to see if trend breaks. Okay. So potential break here. Let's see if this confirms itself or if it reverses. If you were feeling ballsy, you could grab a long right here and stop yourself out below the close. I don't even have contracts loaded up. I don't know how I would even trade. Good God. Oh, some mornings I'm just so focused on the analysis that I forget I'm actually here to play. Okay, we got some contracts loaded up now. I just went one in the money from the point at where we're looking at right now. So I've got 398s on the call side, 399s on the put side. Oh, some pretty good basing. I don't know. We feeling brave today, boys and gals, for anyone who may fit that and is hanging out with us. Remember, trading is not just the guys' club that it used to be. Yeah, everybody's brave with someone else's money. Let's see. If we buy now, does that give us enough of a room for error so we don't have to hit a max stop loss? Oh, all right. I'm in. So we'll see. If we can hold this line, it'll be a good spot to be long. We'll probably bail on it though if I get the opportunity to. If we lose VWAP, because then that means we're probably going to be balancing for a bit in this area before breaking away. But it looks like we've already got some upward movement. We're going to try and sell one right about at this point. What? Come on. Oh my God. Oh, why did I have to confirm and send that? That was annoying. I couldn't hit flatten because that would have knocked us out of our position. I lost a few cents on that. Oh well. And well, all right, let me rephrase that. By I lost a few cents on that, what I mean is I didn't get the wick. I did not get that overnight high touch. We could have sold that for about 14 cents more than we ended up selling it for. So realistically, I should have had a sell order ready to go there. But it happened a little too quickly for me. Oh, geez. Okay. Well, let's see if we get stopped out here or not. If this does take us out at our stop out, unfortunately, we will be starting a little red this morning because we didn't take enough on that first piece to cover all of our fee. But you can kind of see now how VWAP's lining up with that trend line, right? So, I mean, holding here, this is good for the long position. Actually, we probably could have added a piece back on down there. Would have been able to decrease our cost basis a little more. Oh, I didn't get out. I just sold a piece. We're still in. So if you look at the chart, the stream, right, you can still see the -2 stop. So I sold one piece on that green candle for about 12 cents, something like that. Oh, wow. All right. Well, poop. Oh, well, didn't knock us out yet. Here we go. Yeah, it's going to knock us out now. Or not? Huh. Okay. Yeah. So it looks like there seems to be a chunk of supply up at the highs. But the demand does seem to be rising, or at least it rose. I'm actually very surprised we didn't get knocked out on that spike. Very interesting. Well, I guess now we can probably put a trend line here, right? Oh, yeah, you're right. We do seem to be having an apex coming in. You know, let's queue up a sell so we don't get bushwhacked again. Really? Oh, I would have figured that volatility would have knocked us out there. All right, there we go. Okay, so we're two pieces out. We're up now. This last piece we can probably. Do I want to set it to break even? Nah, I don't. We're definitely not going to let it close down at those lows, but as long as we hold this trend line, we're going to hang on to this last piece. Okay, we're above the overnight high now. So we're going to protect this at the bottom of that candle. Well, congratulations. We won our first trade today. I don't have any idea where my phone is. So I don't know what we've made for sense. Where the heck is my phone? Interesting. All right. Hopefully nothing crazy happens, but I'll be right back, guys. All right. So we're about 20 cents up on the day. If we sold right here, we'd be about 50 cents up on the day. We now have a poor high, though. So this tells us that we'll probably be looking for another good spot to get in long. And of course, we do expect to see a little pushback at a poor high. So don't be surprised if we get some retracement here. Yep. All right. Well, we're 30 cents up on our first pot. That's not bad. I wasn't kidding when I said don't be surprised if you see some retracement here. But the good news is so far, I mean, this is kind of following, what you expect to see with a poor high. Now, the next $1 million question is figuring out where to enter long. I guess for now, we can watch to see if VWAP holds. We've got some trend break, got some VWAP break. If we drew a horizontal line, we have an up thrust. So let's see. We probably expect support somewhere around here. Yeah. So, I mean, look at our profile chart, right? We got the poor high. So, right there, failure to really break away from that, we'd expect to see some pullback. We'd expect to see some retracement. So, then we look at our tick chart and we can see that, in fact, an upthrust is confirmed off of that, right? So, there's two events happening kind of simultaneously on two different types of charts that both say we should see retracement. So realistically, that tells us our best risk to reward point for getting back in long, eh, probably right about where we just missed an entry. Granted, we did move through our EMA cloud, so we'll probably let this play out for a bit. Chances are, even if we missed an entry there, we will have another opportunity to enter. I mean, you're always going to have another opportunity to enter. I mean, a better opportunity to enter. I don't think buyers are strong enough in the morning session to get this really going. I could be wrong, but I think our morning session has a higher odds of balancing. And I think the afternoon session is where we're going to see a rip-a-rooney. By glob. Seems like there's some pretty strong buying below VWAP. I mean, that's been the story so far this morning. I mean, we can see the opening drop, reclaim VWAP pretty quick. First push below VWAP, drove to a new high. Now we push below VWAP again, pushing back up to those highs. Wow. Hot diggity dog. All right. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and say I was wrong. We broke earlier than I expected. So we've got a potential channel forming now. Let's map this out. See what's going on here. Oh, look at that. Would you just look at it? So yeah, I mean, hindsight, that touch below VWAP, that was our entry. I mean, that was tough to guess, but it would have been a nice play. Now we've got a channel though that we can pay attention to, play off of. Yeah, looks like the old resistance is now support, and a nice bounce off of that there. Dang. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to trade much longer. I got a pretty busy day ahead of me. Today was going to be a shortened session for me. Oh, hot damn. Upper target achieved. Why was that an upper target? Oh, I know why that's an upper target, because that's about where our downward trend line is, roughly. Interesting that we don't get it on this view. Why not? Why not? Is it because it's a tick chart? That doesn't make sense. Why, oh why? No, it's definitely a downward trend line on our regular daily chart. So what's going on here? I guess our downward trend line is closer to 424. So our upper target is just below it. So on the chart that you can see, we'll say it's just below our 50 moving average on the weekly. You know what? We're going to move our upper target to like pretty much right where it seems to be. Okay. There we go. So now that line you're looking at, the one that says upper target, that's pretty much right where our downtrend line is. Really? Your trend lines are showing up on your tick chart, huh? What the heck? Why is mine busted? You know what? Let's turn extended hours on, see if that changes anything. Or is that what this line is? Because I've got a dashed line across my chart that I don't know what it is, and I can't seem to click on it. That's it? Huh, okay. Intriguing. Well, then I guess we're a little bit above it. Okay. All right. Well, at least I'm not losing my marbles, so that's a good thing. That's a good thing. All right. Well, looks like we just kind of got some slowed down sideways movement. Doesn't seem to be retracing itself very hard. So, yeah. Looks like moving into C period, we potentially will have a gap to work off of. A big bird finger. Huh. I don't think I've ever heard that one before. Yep. Looks like the action slowed down a little bit, but that's okay. We'll keep scoping this out for another 10 minutes or so before we shut down for the day. No. On the tick chart, we use 13 and 48. On the 30-minute chart, we use the 8 and the 21. On the 5-minute chart, we use the 13 and 48. On our 15-minute chart, we use the 13 and 48. On our daily chart, we use the 20 and the 50. So, realistically, with moving averages, Just having one that's longer and one that's shorter will help you identify trends and how everything's moving and running. But I do get asked all the time, why those specific ones as opposed to others. So I will explain my logic for you guys here today while we're just kind of waiting and watching. So the 13 and the 48, I've found on the shorter time frame charts, they tell a better story. At least I feel like I can read the story better with 13 and 48-minute moving averages on the shorter time frames. I mean, if you look at the way our tick chart kind of plays out, if you look at it, over the course of several days, kind of watch it, you'll notice that almost every time we get a crossover and a break, as long as there's strong movement in one direction, that indicates when an ideal entry point was. It will also kind of show you how strong the movement is based on our pullbacks. And what we can start to see is after a move has happened, once the candles start to breach into the cloud, that shows us a weakening of the movement. And once we've touched through the other side, oftentimes the pullback that immediately follows a touch of the 48 is then followed by a collapse or a reversal. Now, the only times that this isn't true is if the pullback makes a new high. So that's something that I also try to watch for. So as long as the pullback doesn't make a new high, then generally it's a pretty safe space to enter. And if you get it right, you're going to be on pretty much the best price point for the reversal. You're also going to have a really low risk to reward because again, if we breach the previous high, you don't want to be in that play. You're trying to play a reversal, but the signs are telling you that it's actually not looking to reverse. Now, the 8 and the 21, I've found on the 30-minute chart especially, when they pinch and cross is very telling of the story on a 30-minute chart, or more accurately on the market profile chart. Now, obviously, you can't have moving averages on a market profile chart, but when you're looking at either the extended monkey bars or a candlestick chart, the 8 and the 21 does paint a really good picture of how everything's moving for those particular charts. And then, of course, on the daily, we use the 20 and the 50. The weekly, we use the 20 and the 50 because of those are very prominent moving averages that a lot of algorithms look at, that a lot of big firms look at. And, if they're looking at them, I figure I may as well be looking at them too to try and help me guess what their potential moves may be. And that's why we use those specific moving averages. Now, again, if you've got moving averages that work better for you, by all means, those are the ones you should be using. Again, these are just the ones that I like. And as long as you've got a shorter and a longer, you'll be able to see when trend changes. So actually using the chart that you're looking at right now, you can kind of explain why the 13 and the 48 work that way. So if you see where the thinnest part of volume is in these two distinct spikes, if sellers were to press us into that low volume area, right? So basically touching the 48, and then we get a pullback right to the high volume node of that spike, that would be a lower high. Plus, it would initiate a downward move right where we would expect a downward move to start just based on volume profile. So that's where our entry point would be, further than subsequent drop back down to the lower volume profile. Now, that's not something we're looking for because sellers have not pushed price through to the 48 yet, but that would just kind of explain to you why, if you were to see that happen, particularly with what we have going on right now, why that would start to increase the probability and the odds of what's the word I'm looking for here? Whatever, for a rotation. There we go, for a rotation down to the higher volume node. Yep. That's it. That's part of the movement cycle. You get price that agrees with itself at high volume, and then it moves in one direction or the other till it no longer agrees with itself. And that's where the low volume is. Price can't sustain in low volume areas, so it moves to a high volume area. And eventually, in the high volume areas, someone either then owns all of the product at that specific price, or they've flooded that price level with product, and then price rotates and moves. The ebb and the flow. All right, so we got to touch a bottom touch of our channel. Good risk to reward for a long entry. I don't think I'd want to get in long here. Our activities just kind of slowed down for the day. And given that I'm only going to be trading for another 5-10 minutes, I probably don't want to get myself wrapped up into a position that I then won't be able to monitor if we start spinning sideways. And remember, just because something's good risk to reward doesn't necessarily mean it's a spot you want to jump in on. Of course, as I'm saying that, I mean, look, we are actually starting to breach the channel. So potentially we've got that pull down to the 48, as we were just talking about, into that thin area. But if sellers can't maintain price down there, well, we're going to rotate back up. All right, so we've now pretty much got the pull down to the 48. So we're going to watch to see if we get a pull back up, a retrace that kind of ends somewhere around right where that hashed line is on our chart. So that's kind of where the high volume node is. And that's where we would expect to see an upward pull die out before it starts its move to cross through the moving averages. So another thing we can do to help us gauge whether or not another up move is in line is by simply connecting the tops. So if this dies out before getting to that top, we've potentially got a good short spot. If it breaks that line, we don't want to be looking short. Of course, if we were to play short, we're not looking at the right contracts. Let's change that. Hmm. This potential downward trend does not look super exciting. We might just be spinning sideways for a while. So by drawing that channel line, because as soon as that upward channel ends, that kind of tells you when that particular trend is over and something new is potentially beginning. So, based on where our highest point is and how that kind of meshes up as a channel, if this was to hold and this is the new direction we're heading, I mean, it's going to spin sideways with a slight down tilt. So, that doesn't really look like something interesting to get our hands on. Interesting, though. So, we did get the new high, which means looking low is not as appetizing, not as appealing. I will say the fact that we have not rejected hard off of our trend line yet is a good sign for bulls. But not being able to generate price interest above the line could also be disastrous for them as we get to the afternoon session. So, I mean, remember we talked about this point is a very pivotal point. And if the market's not ready to break it, going to see some of those bulls turn into bears. Doesn't necessarily mean we're going to make like a new low, but we definitely could see some pullback to a point at which people feel comfortable buying again. So, just keep your eye on the prize. All right. But on that note, I don't think we're going to get a trade we can play in the next minute. So I'm going to go ahead and going to shut the stream down there for today. Hope you guys enjoyed hanging out. Hope you liked our first little long play of the day. Unfortunately, with today's movement price action, I mean we weren't gonna make a fortune, but we did capitalize off it a little bit. We made some money. Nothing to tilt your hat at, but not every day is going to be a huge winning day. And as long as we can finish every day green and or gray, we're good. We're great. We're golden. All right, but hey guys, if you liked today's stream, please like, subscribe. You'll get notified whenever I drop the new videos. Hopefully, we'll get back to pumping out some educational content that isn't these streams. But I got a lot on my plate. So unfortunately, I can't make promises. I don't want to make any promises that I potentially won't be able to keep. Just know that I am thinking about you guys who do like watching the educational content videos. And I do have hopes and dreams that I will be getting to those again. So we'll see. But yeah, oh, what's the other plug? Oh, yeah, right. Please feel free to join our Discord. Hang out with me live. Doesn't cost you a dime, and you get to actually chit chat with me while we do this. It's fun. People like it here. Yeah, yeah. All right. Take it easy, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.